Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Brooklyn Tea Party. We are having today our special guest, Linda Harrison, from the Coalition to Protect Children. From the Coalition to Protect Kids for Children, same thing, right? And we're going to be talking about ballot proposal number 1 on our election day ballot that we're going to see in the back of the ballot. So when you vote for the presidential election and all your other elections, you're going to see the candidates, and then in the back you're going to at least see 6 ballot proposal questions. And we're going to be talking about ballot proposal number 1 today. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Linda Harris.
Thank you. Thank you. Never been on candid camera before. Okay. All right, good afternoon. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it. I am, as you said, Linda Harrison. I'm basically a citizen at large. I'm here supporting the Coalition to Protect Kids. They needed someone in Brooklyn to share the information. I was glad to do so. Saying that because I'm not an expert in anything. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a teacher. I'm just a concerned citizen at large. I'm ready to share with you the presentation. Hold all your questions to the end if you can. Some of them may be answered in the presentation, and if not, I'll do my best to answer them. All right, you have hopefully your PowerPoint. That would help. That would help. Okay, you can follow along with me because I'm going exactly according to the PowerPoint, so I don't get off. I don't want to get in trouble with the coordinators, or the organizers. So we'll just use the PowerPoint. Share with your neighbor if you can. All right. Okay. Very good. All right. So we're going to talk about defeating the New York State Parent Replacement Act, aka the Equal Rights Amendment, or Proposition 1. I think you have a QR code on one of those pages. They want to show you how to register for any events they have coming up. Do you have it on those new pages? Okay, very good, very good, very good. All right, I do want to make you aware, just in case I forget, towards the end, they have an awesome program that they're doing. They're doing Zoom every Tuesday. So what I cannot answer for you here, the organizers will be on Zoom every Tuesday, starting the 17th until the 29th of October. All right, you just got to go and sign up on the website there and get yourself registered and follow along as you please. So who are we? The Coalition to Protect Kids is a New York nonpartisan ballot issue committee registered with the New York State Board of Elections. We are comprised of New Yorkers from all walks of life, dedicated to defeating Proposition 1, the so-called Equal Rights Amendment, or as we call it, the Parent Replacement Act, to the New York State Constitution. They're a very diverse group. I happen to be with the event they had on a couple of Tuesdays ago, Women's Day, is what it was called, Women's Day, out in Manhattan. And there were a number of individuals out there from different groups participating, and in the press conference, it was very, very awesome. Some groups you wouldn't expect to participate, they say that we're against LGBTQ or trans people. They were actually LGBTQ individuals representing that group, and they were against Prop 1. So this crosses the board everywhere. It's an insane amendment, and it affects everyone. Kojic Churches in New York, Democrats for Life, the Courage Coalition, Autism Coalition, you can read that. Frederick Douglass Foundation, they all support defeating Prop 1. So we need to know what the facts are. Article 1, Section 11 of the New York State Constitution is the anti-discrimination provision, which reads as follows: no person shall, because of race, color, creed, or religion, be subjected to any discrimination in his or her civil rights by any other person or by any firm, corporation, or institution, or by the state or any agency or subdivision of the state. That's the current Equal Rights Amendment we have. They want to add to that. What is Prop 1? It's adding on to that, to the New York State Amendment, adding some other titles and identities there. Prop 1 would amend the state constitution to say that laws and entities cannot discriminate on the basis of these new categories they want to put in, which is age, and notice age has no qualifications. You could be 3-year-old, you could be 300 years old, there's no age restrictions in here, which makes that very dangerous. Sex, gender, identity, gender expression, reproductive health care, and autonomy. We already have the most extensive abortion law in New York, but they still want to go ahead and enshrine it into the state's constitution. The New York State Constitution supersedes any and all state laws, statutes, and regulations. If the ERA's poorly written, one-size-fits-all editions pass, common sense guardrails for our children would be thrown out. It could be deemed even unconstitutional. These are the proposed changes. Yes, your next page. All right. Subsection 11, Part A. Now, the part in bold is what they want to add in to the state constitution. No person shall be denied the equal protection of the laws of this state or any subdivision thereof. No person shall, because of race, color, ethnicity, national origin, age, disability, creed, or religion, or sex, including sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, pregnancy outcomes, and reproductive health care and autonomy, be subjected to any discrimination in his or her. Oh, that's the part they want to take out. I'm going to remove. The bold part is what they want to put in. To any discrimination in their civil rights by any other person or by any firm, corporation, or institution, or by the state or any agency or subdivision of the state pursuant to law or according to the new law. Part B. Now this is the word salad. If you don't get this, there's nothing wrong with you. I had to read this like 10, 20 times. And I'm still reading it over and over to make sure I got it and I understand it. Nothing in this section shall invalidate or prevent the adoption of any law, regulation, program, or practice that is designed to prevent or dismantle discrimination on the basis of a characteristic listed in this section. Nor shall any characteristic listed in this section be interpreted to interfere with, limit, or deny the civil rights of any person based upon any other characteristic identified in this section. You got that, right? Okay. It's clear as mud. Clear as mud. But if you ingest it a little bit, basically what it says to me, bottom line, the provisions that were protected in the beginning can now be overwritten by these new agenda, okay, by these new terms. Okay, so let's look a little bit more. So we're going to review some key takeaways about what it means to be able to discriminate based on things like age, gender, identity, and what some possible legal ramifications might be that gut parental rights as we know it. All right, page 9. The New York State government could have more authority than parents in making medical and other important decisions for children. For instance, we know how wonderful the educational system is. If your child wants to, I say, my words, I say manipulated or goaded into changing his name, changing his sex, the child will have complete autonomy over that. They wouldn't have to tell mom or dad. They wouldn't have to be advised. And according to the Constitution, if we let this pass, it would not be illegal. Bullet point 2. Should children under the age of 18 have the right to irreversible surgical and non-surgical transgender procedures without parental notice or approval? As far as I know right now today, you still have to get mom permission to give them a Tylenol or aspirin or any kind of other medical treatment in school. Is that correct?
Yep.
I don't have kids in school, but those of you that do. So why would a child now all of a sudden be responsible for their own surgical treatment? Okay? They have no knowledge. They're not old enough to know anything. They hardly know how to spell medicine or medication. So why would you give these kids the autonomy to make such severe, irreversible decisions? Bullet point 3. The amendment could legalize on-demand, late-term abortion or abortion without restrictions during the 2nd and 3rd trimester of pregnancy, including for minors. Including for minors. So if mom is not aware of a predator that's been abusing their child in school, outside of school, and the school gets wind of it, mom doesn't have to be notified that the child is taken to get an abortion. She would not have to be notified. I mean, she could, but it's not required. They don't have to tell her. All right, next page. Should schools not disclose to parents that their children may be struggling with their sexual identity, who are becoming transgender? Now, who in here was not a tomboy at one time? You know what I'm saying? I like to climb trees. That didn't make me a boy. There's lots of things, we did when we were kids. It doesn't mean we're challenging our sexual identity. It's just we're exploring the world. We're exploring who we are. We're coming into our being. But certain adults would take advantage of that and say, "Oh, this child is leaning this way. We need to assist. We need to assist." Protections. Oh, that's bullet point 2. Should we erase girls' sports and allow biological males to compete against biological females in school sports without restrictions?
No.
Does that make sense for anybody?
No.
No, it doesn't make sense to me either. We see the detrimental effects, girls fighting with boys, or intermixing with sports, how girls are the first to get wounded, as always, because they're the weaker sex. Obviously, they're the weaker sex, but it doesn't make any difference. It wouldn't make any difference. Right now, they're trying to put this in schools and institutions and say that it's perfectly fine. They put it in the Constitution. You can't argue about it. You can't come back against them. Because when something is in the Constitution, is difficult for a judge, if he wanted to sue, they have to come back and in your favor, because they have to go by the guidelines of what's in the Constitution. Protections for churches and other religious organizations and nonprofits could be eroded regarding beliefs that run contrary to newly treated rights in the ERA. So that would severely hamper faith-based institutions trying to raise their children in a certain moral fashion. That's Christianity, that's Islam, that's whatever religion a child comes from. All that would be eroded. The state would have first precedence on what the language would be and what is called discrimination. All right, page 10. I think that's page 10. So New York State is a cultural and legislative leader in the United States. We all know that. What happens in New York impacts the rest of the nation and possibly even the world. Of course, we exported abortion around the world. So yeah, everything we do here in New York State, everyone copycats. So, we're on page 12. All right. So, they are poised. They are so confident that the ERA up there in Albany, that the ERA could pass, should pass, that there are 6 bills in the legislature right now, just waiting in January to be passed. Just waiting, just waiting. And of course, in my personal opinion, I think it's rigged, but here are the bills. You see current bills sitting in the New York State Legislature positioned to pass and be upheld if voters approve the ERA. Allows minors to make their own medical decisions without parental knowledge or consent. Does the child understand the ramifications of a medication, a severe medication he's taking? Does he know the pros and cons? Does he even know how to spell the medication? Does he know what it's supposed to do, long-term, short-term? Does he even know that he has a right to a legal action if he's harmed by it? Does the child understand all that? It's really, really insane. S762A and A276B provides treatment for sexually transmitted diseases to minors without a parent's or guardian's consent. So a child can treat themselves for an STD without mom's consent. No. You know any kid, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old that knows what an STD is? They just know maybe there's an issue going on. You know, tell mom. But at any rate, they're giving this child autonomy to make these decisions for himself. A4604 requires comprehensive sexuality instruction by students in grades K through 12. Who wants the state telling your child about sex education? Who wants that? I wouldn't. That still belongs in the home. That still belongs to the parents. And the sex education they're getting right now is pure pornography. Just pure pornography. Because it's set up to have these children visually see these pictures and these images in their newly formed brains or neurons, okay, to damage them so that they're warped in their thinking about sex activity and the behavior of sex. They don't see anything normal. They don't know what norm is because they won't be taught that in schools. No such thing as normal. Anything goes. Anything goes. If mom and dad doesn't know what's happening, this child is ingesting all this and absorbing all this, and there's a danger to their psyche, a danger to their emotion, a danger to their behavior patterns. You know, they can start acting out on other kids. You know, it's a game. You know, it's just an experiment and whatever. It's very, very dangerous. Very, very dangerous. And it could be setting up a child for predators. S3180A, 1829B, Non-Public School Dignity for All Students Act. I'll be very transparent with you. I'm not sure what that is or what it does. But it says it directs schools to, among other things, allow transgender students to participate in opposite sex gym classes, I think that's clear, and eliminate any gender-based policies, rules, and practices that do not serve a clear pedagogical purpose. Pedagogical means it has to do with the rule of learning, the rule of learning. So that would be passed in Albany, gender-based policies. And NYSED, as on the next page, is already poised to do a lot of this. NYSED is the New York State Education Department. They have what's called best practices. This is, in other words, this is their recommendation for what to do with children in schools, and they're allowed to do this. If voters approve the ERA, courts would be, I thought there were changes, but anyway, courts would be empowered to uphold the New York State Education Department's guidance, just a guidance, regarding transgender students against challenges by concerned parents. So this is why we call it the Parent Replacement Act, because mom and dad are purposely not involved. Purposely not involved. Next page, students are not required to obtain parental or guardian consent or court-ordered name or gender change before being addressed by their affirmed name and pronouns. Now these are best practices. This is already going on even before any amendment to the Constitution or even any bill being passed. This is already best practices being practiced right now by the New York State Board of Education. The student is in charge of their gender transition And the school's role is to provide support.